All right, let's dive right into this explainer. I want you to picture a scenario that pretty much every single first-time visitor to Japan experiences. You've just arrived, the streets are impeccably clean, the air just feels different, and everything around you is quietly fascinating. You've been traveling all day and you just want to grab a quick, refreshing drink. Simple enough, right? So you walk into one of those incredibly pristine Japanese convenience stores, and you are immediately confronted by an entire wall of green bottles, just endless rows of them, different shades of green, totally different labels, characters you probably can't read, and suddenly you are hit with this bizarre, paralyzing fear of doing it wrong. You're standing there thinking, wait, is this all green tea? Which one am I supposed to choose? What if I pick the bitter one? It is so common to feel like Japanese green tea is this intensely spiritual, deeply complex thing that you literally need a degree in to even take a sip. But listen, let me gently tell you a secret. You are already doing it right just by being curious. The truth about Japanese tea is that it's incredibly welcoming. There's no test at the end of the bottle. And honestly, the absolute best way to completely remove that pressure and really appreciate what's inside that little plastic bottle is to understand its totally wild history. It is a story that goes from ancient survival to high-stakes gambling and finally to ultimate tranquility. To really get why Japanese tea culture is so utterly unique, we have to talk about a massive historical paradigm shift regarding the most basic human necessity of all, water. For most of human history, natural water sources like rivers and wells were teeming with bacteria. They were completely unsafe to drink. People literally had to boil water just to survive. But let's be honest, plain boiled water doesn't taste great. So over in ancient China, they figured out that adding tea leaves to that boiling water made it actually palatable. Tea was basically born as a life-saving technology. But here is where Japan's story takes a massive pivot. Because Japan is mountainous and gets a ton of rainfall, its natural water was already remarkably clean. It was totally safe to drink right from the source. So, because they already had naturally clean water, tea was never just a biological survival tool needed to kill off bacteria. And because it wasn't a strict necessity, it was completely free to evolve from a practical, everyday beverage into an unbelievable, multi-layered art form. Now, it didn't just catch on overnight after arriving from China around the 8th century. It actually took hundreds of years to evolve, and it went through 3 distinct, kind of mind-blowing cultural phases. First, it was a medicine, then an extravagant game, and finally, a spiritual practice. Phase 1 kicks off in the Kamakura period. A Zen monk named Aisai travels to China, and he brings back matcha seeds and this specific method of whisking powdered tea. He even wrote Japan's very first specialized book on tea, where he flat out declared that tea is the ultimate medicine for health. For Aisai and the other Zen monks, this heavily caffeinated, intensely green drink was a totally practical tool. It was essentially a medieval energy drink used to keep monks awake and dialed in during their grueling, sleep-deprived meditation sessions. Okay, but then things take a completely wild turn. By the 14th century, tea breaks out of the monasteries and transforms into an explosive, high-stakes entertainment for the elite samurai class. It was called tocha. This was basically a massive, blind tea-tasting gambling ring. Participants would just down cup after cup, sometimes up to 70 cups in a single night, trying to guess if the tea was from the premium fields of Kyoto or somewhere else. It got so intensely addictive that samurai were literally gambling away their entire estates. The authorities actually had to step in and ban the game. Fast forward a bit, and that chaotic competitive spirit shifted into something more calculated. It became, well, actually, it was the ultimate political flex. Wealthy warlords and shoguns used these lavish tea parties to show off their mind-boggling wealth. They'd proudly display these extraordinarily expensive imported Chinese ceramics. Hosting a tea gathering was how you flexed your political muscle. Leaders like Toyotomi Hideyoshi even used the strict regulation of tea ceremonies as a tool to control rival warlords. It was high-stakes politics in a teacup. But naturally, all that chaotic bling sparked a rebellion. Figures like Murata Juko and later the legendary tea master Senno Rikyu created a radically different style called wabicha. They completely stripped away the flashy wealth, the literal golden tea rooms, all the expensive imported bowls. Instead, they focused entirely on spiritual calmness. They used simple, imperfect, highly unpretentious local pottery. They truly believed the beauty of tea wasn't in showing off your bank account, but in cultivating an internal, quiet harmony. There is this absolutely legendary anecdote about Senno Rikyu that perfectly captures this. He had this garden just overflowing with spectacular blooming morning glories. The powerful ruler, Hideyoshi, heard about it and demanded to come see them. But right before Hideyoshi arrived, Rikyu deliberately chopped down his entire blooming garden. When a very confused, very angry Hideyoshi entered the tea room, he found just one single, absolutely perfect morning glory displayed in a vase. Rikyu was proving a point. Stripping away the excess forces you to truly focus on the beauty of a single, fleeting moment. Rikyu was a genius at this. He even revolutionized the physical architecture of the tea room. He invented something called the Nijiriguchi, which is this remarkably tiny entrance door. It literally forced everyone, even the most terrifying high-ranking samurai, to leave their deadly swords outside and physically bowed their heads just to crawl inside. In an era defined by brutal warfare and incredibly strict social classes, Rikyu used a tiny door to create a rare, sacred space of total human equality. So how do we get from medieval samurai and minimalist tea rooms to modern convenience stores? Well, during the Edo period, a man named Nagatani Soen invented a new way to process sencha, steaming, rolling, and drying the leaves to keep them brilliantly green and sweet. This finally made high-quality tea accessible to everyday folks. Then, flash forward to 1990, and we hit another massive revolution, the invention of PET bottled green tea. That completely changed the game, putting this ancient drink right into our pockets. Which brings us right back to that overwhelming wall of green bottles we started with. Now, you don't need to memorize all that history to buy a drink, though it definitely makes it cooler. Practically speaking, you really only need to keep 3 everyday teas in your back pocket. First is matcha. It's rich, bold, bright green, and great for desserts or formal settings. Second is sencha. This is your light, fresh, everyday drinker and the one most commonly found in those bottles. And lastly, genmaicha. It's mixed with roasted rice, giving it this incredibly warm, nutty flavor that is just so perfect for beginners. If you want a game plan for your own stress-free tea adventure, here it is. Step 1. Start super casually. Grab a 100 yen bottle of sencha from a vending machine. Literally zero pressure. Step 2. Level up just a bit. Find a relaxed cafe and order a matcha latte. Step 3. When you feel up for it, find a casual tea house and get a traditional cup paired with a delicate Japanese sweet. The sugar from the sweet perfectly balances out the gentle bitterness of the tea. It is an amazing combo. And please, if you are at all worried about messing up the strict etiquette of the samurai or getting judged by the ghost of some legendary tea master, don't be. In modern cafes and shops today, no one expects you to perform a flawless 16th century tea ceremony. Seriously, simple English and a friendly smile are all you need. Saying green tea please and picking hot or cold is completely fine. The whole culture is built to welcome you, not intimidate you. When you think about it, Japanese tea has had an unbelievable journey, from a monk's caffeinated medicine to a wild gambling addiction to the ultimate political weapon, before finally settling down into an accessible invitation for you and me to just slow down. It isn't just a drink anymore. It is a culturally perfected pause. It's a moment to find a little harmony and truly experience the calming essence of the country. So the next time you twist the cap off a simple plastic bottle in Tokyo or lift a warm ceramic cup in some quiet Kyoto cafe, just ask yourself, what centuries of survival, Zen philosophy, and artistic rebellion are waiting inside? Because it's not just a beverage, you're literally drinking history. I hope this explainer has given you the confidence to truly enjoy your next cup. Thanks.
What is it about Japan that captivates you? Please let me know in the comments below. If this journey resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and stay tuned for our next episode. Thank you so much for watching.